Hi Northside, this is Mrs. Donor. Today we are going to be talking about the different properties of equality. We often use these in proofs, and to be able to use them we need to know what they are. So that's what we're going to go over today. So our first property is the addition property, and this tells us that if two things are equal, we can add the same thing to both sides of our equation and they will still be equal. So take this example. If A equals B, then we can say A plus C is equal to B plus C. The subtraction property tells us if we have two things that are equal, such as A equals B, then we can subtract the same thing from both sides and we get A minus C is equal to B minus C. The multiplication property tells us that if we have two things that are equal, again, A is equal to B, then we can multiply the same thing on both sides and still have them equal each other. So for this, we have A times C is equal to B times C. The division property tells us that we can divide both sides of an equation by the same thing and they will still be equal. The only thing that we cannot have is the denominator, or whatever we're dividing by, cannot be 0. So if we have A equals B, we can say then A divided by C is equal to B divided by C. We also have the substitution property. That tells us if A equals B, then we can substitute B in for any equation. An example of this is if we know x is equal to y, we can put y in any equation x is in. So we know that x plus 5 equals 7. We can therefore substitute y in for x and say y plus 5 is equal to 7. The next property is the reflexive property. That is A equals A, or anything just equals itself. The symmetric property tells us if A equals B, then B equals A. What that means is we can switch the order on which side of the equal sign things are. We can't say x plus y equals 40 and say x equals 40 plus y. We can't just change them, but we can rewrite them. So if we have x plus y equals 40, we can rewrite that as 40 equals x plus y. And the transitive property tells us that if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. An example of this is if we have the measure of angle 1, and that is equal to the measure of angle 2, and we know the measure of angle 2 is equal to 40 degrees, we can therefore say that the measure of angle 1 is equal to 40 degrees. That is our transitive property. That is all of our properties of equality.